All right.
All right, there we go. I had to go over and had to go over and had to go over to YouTube and
And,
mute the YouTube screen, as it were.
oh, okay.
And that's why I needed to do that. Anyways, well, hello everybody. Welcome to the Mikestand, our weekly look at comics that went on sale in in history. This week, of course, we're going to be continuing our coverage of August of 1939. Hey, Woody. Um, Flee, fly, flow, flum. I smell. Okay. All right, Woody.
Well, there's an easy way to remedy that. It's called take a shower.
Put some deodorant on, right? Yeah. Oh, with that. Okay, so let me just take care of this real quick. Anyways, so with that, we'll continue on there. Um, so basically tonight we're going to be focusing in on August 1999. This week we're going to be focusing on Speed Comics #1, which was originally published by uh, Brookwood Publications, which was eventually bought out by um, which was eventually bought up by Harvey Comics. So that's where, or perhaps the blood of an Englishman. Yeah. Uh, oh yeah. I guess Woody is quoting Jack and the Beanstalk, I believe. So basically tonight we're gonna be, as I said, we're gonna be looking at Speed Comics Volume One, #1. We're gonna be just briefly going over some of the early history there of publishing company that was eventually it would become a part of Harvey Comics catalog, which of course would give us such characters as Casper, Richie Rich, Little Audrey, Baby Huey.
Yeah, sometimes the StreamYard on my laptop doesn't work very well, so
I was
like things
why
will
did you
start
go off like
roboting or can't. Yeah, now it's doing it again.
huh? Baby Huey cartoons, that was good stuff. Yeah. Well, yeah. I would see them in syndication. When I was a kid, they were. In fact, it's kind of funny because I was watching classic tunes on Pluto TV on our TV here. I think it was yesterday or the day before, and it just happened upon a Baby Huey cartoon. It's kind of late at night. um, with that, again, we're just giving people a chance to come in. If you haven't already, you can, of course, like and share the stream and see if we can get some more friendly people in here. Let's see. All right. I just now saw your I just now saw your private chat, Tim. I had already done that anyways. You there? Tim? All right. I wonder what's going on with him. Well, as I said, we've been starting to get started a little earlier now. So, ahoy, Tim! Yeah. Oh yeah, he. We'll give him a sec to come back in and see if he try to message me on Facebook here. Oh yeah. Oh, that was probably earlier. But anyways, we're just waiting for Tim to come back in before we get going. All right, so there were some interesting names in that first comic too. All right, so let's see. Again, we're just waiting for Tim to come back in here. Maybe he's trying to make some adjustments on his hmm. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Ah, there you are.
Sorry again. The internet was acting screwy. The internet here is just terrible. So sometimes things will start roboting or.
Are
And then
you like in some rural area or something like that?
I'm in Idaho, small town.
Yeah, so
The internet is crappy here sometimes.
well, hopefully it won't be too problematic tonight. But anyways, so with that, now that you're back, I just wish, of course, that YouTube and StreamYard would be a bit more agreeable and still count total number of people here who are actually here, not just this baloney. I'm going to go off. If you want to go ahead and promote your book for a moment and talk to the fans for a moment. I'm going to go off camera here for a quick moment to see if I can do something here real quick. I'll be right back.
All right. Well, Melvin 2 is in demand still. And, well, books are being shipped out to backers. So everyone should be getting their book. You should probably get it while it's still on there, because as soon as all the books are shipped out, I will be taking it off demand, thus closing the campaign. So, if you want a copy of Melvin number 2, back it before it's too late. Flea, I think it's Fee Fi Fo Thumb. I smell the blood of an Englishman. I guess giants have just sensitive noses when it comes to the blood of the English. I don't know. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much about comic books is this show compared to other YouTube shows? I find this to be a 10 because, well, most comic book shows are about everything but comic books a lot of times. Anybody? They always talk about other things and other than comic books.
Well, okay. So when you asked that, Tim, were you asking that like this specific show, like the Friday show specifically, or were you talking about my show overall?
Overall, you talk about comic books more than everybody else does. Everybody else kind of devolves into like degeneracy.
I cover niche, all together, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he talks about wrestling too, but I mean,
yeah. So, anyways, okay. So with all that, hopefully now all the technical issues are out of the way here. So, why don't we get into some content here? You ready, Tim?
Sure, sounds good to me.
Yeah, I guess I could.
You're not talking about explicit content, are you?
No, I think you know the type of content I'm talking about.
I know.
I'm talking about the content that we all love to talk about, which is, of course, comic books, as you were just saying. And for in this particular case, it's of course about, talking about looking back on comics that went on sale in the olden days. Of course, we're going to look back to a publisher right now, and then we will go over and get into the actual comic. So let me go ahead and read this because it's a pretty quick. So Brookwood publication. Now, for those of you, so why are we looking at Brookwood Publications? Well, Brookwood Publications was the name of the company that published Speed Comics here, and it was one of a few titles that was actually picked up by Harvey Comics when they started up in 1941. So this is actually technically part of the Harvey catalog ultimately, but it started out as Brookwood Publications. So let me go ahead and read this, and then it will probably be a little more understood then with that. So Brookwood Publications, owned by J.A. Rosenfield and Frank Temerson, named after a suburb of Temerson's hometown of Birmingham, Alabama. Titles were eventually acquired by Harvey Comics, by Alfred Harvey, of course, the founder of Harvey Comics. The only title they list here, of course, is Speed Comics, which is what we're going to be looking at today here. So again, it shows here former type comic book publisher, industry publishing, founded 1939. Founders J. Rosenfield and Frank Temerson, defunct 1940. Headquarters, New York. Of course, that's where a lot of the comic book companies were from originally, was New York. So who is this Maurice Rosenfeld guy? Let's see who this guy is. Let's see. So work history, 11 works that were produced while Maurice Rosenfeld was editor-in-chief. So he was an editor probably with Brookwood. In fact, why don't we go ahead and just see who these people are. J.A. Rose. I'm guessing that J.A. and Maurice were probably brothers, most likely. So not a whole lot of information is on these guys, though. Again, this is one of those lesser known companies, so
they probably didn't do much after their company folded or whatever.
Right. So, well, and as I said, a lot of their titles got bought up by some of the titles that would eventually become part of some of Harvey's early titles were let's see, here's all 11 items. The Speed Comics 1 through 11. So they published the first 11 issues of Speed Comics, apparently. Let's see, what else can we find? Characters. Shock Gibson. Well, let's look at Shock Gibson because he's the guy who we're going to be looking at today. He was the main. All right, so Shock Gibson is a fictional comic book superhero who first appeared in Speed Comics #1, October 1939, from Brookwood Publications, a company later absorbed by Harvey Comics. He was created by artist Maurice Scott, who drew it through issue number 11, and an unknown writer. His 1939 introduction makes him one of comic books' earliest superheroes. Of course, as we know, now I'm not going to go through the rest of that as much, just because we'll see. Let's see. Shock Gibson is among public domain characters. Image Comics revived anthology. The next issue. Okay, so but basically, let's see. Well, so according to this, all right. So in the debut story, The Human Dynamo, scientist Robert Charles Gibson perfects a formula that allows people to directly store, generate, and control electricity. And tests this formula on himself. Now, in science, of course, that's considered a no-no. Using yourself as a guinea pig. That's considered a no-no. But the formula increases his strength, gives him the power to fire bolts of lightning, and grants him the power of flight. Okay, so yeah, I might as well just read, because this is a pretty short intro anyways. He was one of several superhero characters to join the U.S. Army in the wake of World War II, fighting the Japanese military, or of course in the Harvey universe. Let's make that clear. Both in and out of costume, Shock Gibson teamed up with other Harvey comic characters such as the Black Cat, of course not the Black Cat that was in Marvel, Captain Freedom, Ted Parrish, who I think was another character we'll get a look at too. Girl Commandos, mostly in 2-page text stories. The character remained in print in various forms. So I think that's about as much as we need to see on that. Let's see. And Tim went silent on me.
No, I'm still here.
Okay. I saw that you muted yourself, so I figured.
Yeah, I was. You were reading. I was listening.
Okay. So anyway, so now that we did the intro stuff, I'll go ahead and get to the actual reading of the comic. And in this case, we only have the one book to read, so we'll be able to spend quite a bit of time on it.
Question: the cover shows a tank. Did they talk about the war a little bit in these stories, or were companies still kind of skirting around the whole war thing?
Oh, you mean Oh, you talking about on Speed Comics Volume 1, Number 1, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they might have been. I couldn't tell you that because that's not something I really looked into as much. But yeah, of course, again, you had a case where you had the case where you had where World War II was happening, just America was not involved in it yet.
Well,
So
yeah.
they're probably like there are today. There probably were people who thought that maybe America should have got into the war and were trying to drop subtle hints in whatever forms they probably
Well,
could.
it seems like they were skirting around it by not really talking about it. Like they would have a dictator from South America and not the one that was in Germany, or they would roundabout talk about the Japanese but never talk about the Japanese.
So like there's the tank you're talking about where he's lifting that over there.
Yes.
Let's see, starring Shock Gibson, the human dynamo. Let's see, among the other characters, 64 pages, all color, all action, all thrill. Speed Comics. Let's see, you have Spike Marlin, Biff Bannon, and others. October, 10 cents. So, we'll see now. All right, so let's go ahead.
I wonder if that was another thing that kind of drove them all out of business is the use of color. Because they felt the need to advertise it.
Well, yeah, that's probably obviously that's what that's one of the things that I guess differentiates something like, let's say, an American comic from, let's say, like the Japanese manga, where manga, as George pointed out, manga was a lot black and white a lot of times, whereas you do actually have color, and going back to even the early days of comic books here. So
Right.
All right, The Adventures of Shock Gibson. The Human Dynamo by Maurice Scott. Maurice Scott, they said, was the one who actually drew. So look at his gear right there. Look, he's got that helmet on. Looks kind of like a construction helmet with a fin on it.
It looks stupid.
Well, maybe in comparison to today, but I'm sure that was looked at as being pretty. I mean, you look at how bright the color is there. It's
all the kids wanted a character that looked like he got dressed in the dark.
Let's see. You have him in a red bodysuit there with a yellow belt with a red lightning bolt on it. Yellow gloves, the construction hat with the fin on it there, and I guess red boots with yellow endings, or something. Either that or Lord or
they look like the same rubber gloves that you use to scrub dishes with.
Well, okay, he's not the only hero who had gloves like that, though. That was a common design back then. Batman had gloves like that. Aquaman had gloves like that. That looked more like they were gloves you would use to, as you put it, wash dishes with than actually do superhero stuff with. Okay.
I mean, Batman always looked cool, right?
Yeah, but if you saw some of the early, Batman. I mean, think about it. Even if you go back and watch the campy '60s Batman live action, right? He had those, he had gloves on. He had the gloves on that looked more like you'd use those for washing dishes than anything else. So, anyways, let's get into this story. This now, from what I understand, this is going to be like a 28-page story, so we're going to be on this for a while. So, anyways, on an exposed hilltop stands a lone hut, lashed by wind and rain. Lashed by now, that's an interesting way of saying it, isn't it? How do you think we might say that today, Tim?
Lashed.
Lashed by wind and rain.
Well, we wouldn't say lashed. Um, yeah, we wouldn't say
We would
lashed.
probably say something like, "Well, it's raining outside, or it's storming outside, or something like that." It's just the word usage here and the syntax and all that. That's what I was getting at there. It was interesting.
You would probably say bombarded by wind and rain.
That had to be another way of putting it. Yeah.
Okay.
Tonight, the crashing thunder of the storm splits the sky. Inside, Charles Gibson, a promising young scientist, is busy experimenting with electrical and chemical forces. Electricity and water. That's always a good mix, right?
No, not at all.
I was being sarcastic, of course. You know that, right?
Oh, okay.
Uh, um, hello, Dr. Blitzer? Come over at once. I want you to see what I've done. Suddenly, lightning strikes the lab. Look at that! Look at that scene right there, Tim. What do you think of that? The lightning striking the lab right there. What do you think of the art, the visual?
Oh, for heaven's sake!
What? What? For heaven's sake, what's going on, Tim? Tim, everything okay?
Yeah. It was just doing that stupid thing again. Gosh, it's really ticking me off.
Huh. Well, anyways, so what do you think of that scene with the lightning bolt striking the lab?
Um. Well, it's not very bright. It's clouds. I guess they're trying to make it look really stormy.
Hmm.
It looks like your typical book of that time period, pretty much. It's not really. It's not to me. It's not really thrilling, but
Yeah, but it was probably thrilling for the people back then, right?
oh yeah, a different time and place.
Crash! Boom! Rip! The powerful bolt wrecks the chemical spew over Gibson, and lightning crashes through his body. Wow, look at that visual right there.
Well, obviously,
going through his body there.
Yep. I mean, anything that gets struck by lightning gets powers. Don't you know that?
Yeah, at least that's what most people in comic books want you to believe.
So, kids, go find some chemicals and pour them on yourselves. You'll get powers.
No wonder parents were so upset. And what we got the Comics Code Authority, right?
That's mostly from horror comic books where
I know.
Yeah, well,
All right, so 1 hour later, Dr. Blitzer arrives at the wrecked laboratory. Gibson, what happened? Dr. Blitzer is surprised to find that Gibson is still alive. All right. This is amazing. His heart is beating with unbelievable vitality. Look at that. How often do you see that word in comics nowadays, Tim? Vitality.
Vitality?
Yeah.
I've never seen the use of it until now, but
Well, again, going back, back then, language was more formal back then. You don't see that in That's one of the points I was making here.
I always felt
So,
like the dialogue was always in the old comics was always over explained everything, sort of, or like
well,
over.
yeah, the dialogue was all again and again. I think it was a testament to the times where language was a lot more formal back then, as compared to now. So that's where I was going with that. So suddenly Gibson comes to his senses. I feel so strange. Gibson spots a loose steel girder from the ruined lab about to strike the doctor's head. Like a flash, Gibson grabs the huge piece of steel, bends it, and throws it aside. So that lightning strike gave him super strength, apparently.
Am I the only one that thinks that the beam got smaller as soon as he caught it, or is that like the angle?
Well, I couldn't tell you. I mean the way they drew it though, you almost would think that piece of steel was actually made of rubber. The way he's bending it. Why you have the strength of 1,000 men. The lightning plus something in those chemicals did it. Gibson, you have the power to change the world. Now go and remember you are one apart from all men. A power forever. Now that's interesting. So I want to read that statement because that was kind of an interesting way they kind of put it together. That wording there. Gibson, you have the power to change the world. Now go and remember you are one apart from all men. A power forever. That's some interesting dialogue there, wouldn't you say, Tim?
Yeah, it is.
Thus, Charles Gibson takes on a new name and personality. In quote here, Shock Gibson. He gives his solemn oath to Dr. Blitzer to be always a defender of fair play. Now I get that. You wouldn't see that in today's comics, right? You
What
know,
What do you mean?
well, okay, look at a lot of the heroes from back in this time. A lot of them would talk about doing what's right, you know, um, being like a defender of fair play, being a defender of justice, not
Right.
social justice, just justice, period.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it's just kind of amazing and how that for a long time up until recently stood. That's what a hero was. Hero always stood up for what was right, no matter what the personal cost.
Well, it's just more in depth emphasis on in depth story now, and I think anti-heroes are actually the more popular nowadays than regular heroes.
Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. That power will never be abused, sir. I swear, I will use it only for humanity. All right, so in a large eastern city, an honest contractor is faced with ruin because of graft and corruption, which a lot of stories back in these days were filled with. um, They actually talk quite a bit about some of Superman and Green Lantern's early adventures in Metropolis, each, where that was the case too, where they were dealing with a lot of corrupt politicians. A vast ring. Oh, go ahead.
I said, I see.
A vast ring of politicians and gangsters are trying to get control of the city construction. This building must be completed in 3 days, or you lose the contract to us. It's impossible. It will take 3 weeks working night and day. I'll be ruined. That's what the big boss figured, and then we get the city contract. And if you're ruined, that's your hard luck. Oh, isn't this guy a peach? Isn't he a peach? Hey, Tim.
Sounds like a jerkwad.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Shock Gibson gets up an office for his important work. Scandal and city contracts. That needs my attention. And look, those gloves you so like, the dishwasher gloves.
Oh, yes. Well, he must have gotten off his shift where he washed a bunch of dishes and decided to go fight crime.
My wife, my children, what am I going to do? I'll end it all. That's one of the new city buildings next door. Heavens, that man over there. The graft syndicates got me. I'm ruined. In desperation, the contractor leaps to a violent death. Shock leaps to the window ledge. Then grabs the contractor with his mighty hand as he is about to strike the pavement. What's the idea? I'm your friend. You tried the coward's way out. We'll fight this together. Like, he calls him a coward and says, but I'll be there to support you. That's kind of interesting.
How did he know that he was in trouble? It wasn't like, was he listening into his conversation or something with himself?
Well, let's go back to the previous page, and you'll see here.
Yeah, he's looking out the window. Doesn't mean you can unless he's yelling it out loud. Wait. Yeah, see that panel. He's talking to himself.
Yeah, now, granted, but look, he's not. It's not just a window he's looking at. He's actually standing on a ledge.
Yeah, but the other guy's other guy's not really talking to him unless he's shouting it at him or something.
Okay, so look at the panels.
Right.
Now look at these panels.
Right. We get what's happening. I'm just saying that see, the second panel he's talking, the superhero, he's talking to himself. Now look at the third panel. Up. The third panel. Is that guy talking to himself or is he talking to him?
Well, he's talking to himself. I get what you're saying, but the middle panel explains how. Look, because if you look at the second panel right there, you look at the middle panel,
right?
Okay. Shock is on one ledge. The guy's on the other ledge. They're each on a different ledge. he sees that he's standing on a ledge there.
Yes, I see all that, but
and then you go down to the 2 panels down here.
Right.
The guy is just so you're standing on one panel, and you see another guy on another panel, and then the guy jumps.
Right, now, hold on. Go to the part where he catches him and says, I'll show you what I mean. He says, I'm your friend. You tried the coward's way out. We'll fight this together. Is he talking about what is he talking about? Like, is he talking about the fact that he tried to kill himself, or that some syndicate has got him by the grapefruit?
If you remember from the previous page, right? He was reading the paper. He was aware that maybe, in the paper they showed a picture of the honest contractor.
Oh, okay. So he knows from
that's a possibility. I'm not saying that's what actually happened. I'm not even sure if this guy's picture, or at least on panel, anyways, if that guy's picture was actually in the paper. But he could have seen his picture in the paper and knew that he was the honest contractor.
Right.
Granted, that they with some of the stuff they do here, obviously they do apply a lot more inference, in their writing. If you follow it enough, you can know what they're inferring or what they're kind of hinting at, right?
I kind of think they probably didn't think about that.
Maybe they didn't, but
or since their major audience is kids, they thought, well, kids are too stupid to ask questions. They'll just kind of read the story and go, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like what they used to do with old cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for instance, Transformers. Like, you'd have they'd have 3 star screams for no reason, and no one would ask questions, or new characters would show up with no explanation, and they wouldn't.
Well, okay, like the 3 star scream ones. That was an because I actually have the DVD collection for the G1 Transformers series.
Yeah.
Some of that was art errors.
Yeah.
Some of that was just simply art errors. They made mistakes in the animation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the second season when characters would show up and they wouldn't explain where they came from. It's like they're probably thinking, "Oh, the kids are so dumb. They won't ask questions."
Oh, okay. Rick here. Hey, Rick. So hi, all.
What up, Rick?
Is this DC Comics? Because I think this looks a lot like the Flash. Well, same color scheme, but no. This property would eventually become part of Harvey Comics. It originally started out as Brookwood Publications. This is from Speed Comics #1, which went on sale in August of 1939. Cover date October of 1939. So to answer your question, Rick, no, this isn't DC. This is, although I get what you're saying because it obviously is the same color scheme. And thank you for, of course, liking and sharing. See if we can get some more people here. Anyways, let's go ahead and get back to the story here, because that was a nice little discussion there, though. I'm glad we had that discussion there. That was a very interesting little tidbit there. But anyways,
yes.
So, listening to the troubles of the contractor, Shock suggests, your problem is simple. I'll have your building finished in 3 hours. Huh? Shock goes to work, carries huge steel girders in his bare hands. Look at that. You know what that kind of reminds me of?
What?
You remember the X-Men cartoon from the 90s?
Yeah.
You remember when Colossus came to America and was like looking for work? And the guy who wanted the building destroyed asked Colossus to do it, and Colossus, of course, turned into a steel farmer. He just wrecked the building.
Yeah.
Kind of similar situation here, where the superhero just able to do everything in one shot.
All right, I get you. Yeah.
So this is a miracle. Next, Shock punches rivet holes with his fingers and drives rivets with his thumbs. Now that was kind of a common. That was somewhat in some things like with some things like that too. That was I think I've seen that a few times in certain cartoons as well, where boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
As though it were a paper box, Shock lifts a complete 5-story frame into place. I just want to come back and see if Rick responded or anything more came of it.
He did.
Okay. I knew it wasn't DC. I was just teasing. Yeah, I mean, I get how you could ask that, Rick, because again, similar color scheme to. I mean, if you really think about it for a moment, he does bear somewhat of a resemblance to Jay Garrick, the Golden Age Flash. There,
Yeah, red
similar costume
and
design. I mean, granted, Jay had the Mercury's wings on his helmet, as opposed to that fin. But anyways, moving on with the story here. The politician sees the building being completed. He can't get away with that. Look, the dude is like, oh my god. So get the gang. We'll stop this freak. 2 hours pass and Shock has the building almost finished. I'll have your building finished in a few minutes. Thanks. You've certainly saved me. But trouble is just ahead. Get 'em, boys. Get off the job, you fugitive from a fancy dress ball. Fugitive from a fancy dress ball. What an insult. Hey there, Tim.
yes.
You don't hear insults like that anymore, do you?
No, you really don't.
I think it's actually funnier and more
Cheesy.
entertaining than people who just sit there and just curse. At least that had some essence of intelligence implied. Who, me? After him. Boys, you're making a big mistake. Let him have it. In a jiffy, Shock lays the gang low. Now behave yourself. Ugh. In the meantime, this will crush him to a pulp. Snip. Shock catches a steel girder and twists it. Oh boy. Here. Now don't try to kill me again. Jumping catfish. That was a common saying back then too. Jumping catfish. That was a pretty common saying back in those days. Well into the 60s, I would even say. Hey, Tim?
Yes.
All right, continuing on here.
Sorry for being slow with my responses.
That's all right. We'll get him in there eventually. Then Shock leaps up on the ledge, grabs the politician, and tosses him into the air. Aren't there a few comic book creators you wish you could do this to?
Yeah, probably a few.
This'll make you talk. Oh! Ew! Get me down! I'll talk. I'll plead guilty. Anything if you'll get me down. Help! Hold on. I'm on my way up. Shock gets the politician down. As the police arrive, I'll talk. I'll tear the lid off this town. On sight of the cops, the politician's henchmen sneak out of the crowd. He's gonna spill to the cops. We gotta send a radio message. In the gang's radio room, he's gonna spill, huh? We'll get it. We'll get help. Calling ZXX. Calling ZXX. Somehow I sense something big behind all this. I don't think it's the end. And as the patrol wagon speeds away with the politician, Shock sees a mysterious plane circling above. Hey, what's that plane doing there? That patrol wagon will never reach the station. So he'll talk, will he? I'll fix him. Make a dive for that car, and we'll use the ultra magnet. Ultra magnet. Wow. That sounds like an interesting weapon, doesn't it, Tim? Tim, ultra magnet. That sounds like an interesting weapon, doesn't it?
Yeah, sounds like a very interesting name for a weapon.
What was that?
I said yes. It sounds like a very interesting name for a weapon.
I mean, it's not a magnet. It's not a great magnet. It's not a super magnet. It's an ultra magnet.
That's way better than a super one.
Yep. Anyways. Yeah. A plane swoops down, and the ultra magnet is turned on the patrol wagon. And like a flash, the police patrol is pulled up and fastened to the plane's bottom. By the powerful electric force. Now let's get going. I must follow that plane. And the keen eyes of Shock are still trained on the plane as it speeds away. In one mighty panther-like leap, Shock lands on the next building. Panther-like leap, so he can leap like a panther. That's another one of his powers. Hey there, Tim? He jumps down the next. I've got to keep up that plane. I got to keep that plane in sight. Somebody's following us. He's jumping from building to building. You're crazy. 2 hours pass, and Shock has followed the plane far across the country. They're heading for the Rocky Mountains. I'll follow. Later, they're going to crash. Meanwhile, inside the plane, a signal for the door to open. As you say, Master. Another secret passage here, as we've seen many a time in comic books. All right. Tim, don't be afraid to chime in if anything here catches your attention. That goes for everybody. Anything catches your attention, you feel free to comment or ask questions. We'll try to answer the questions best of our ability.
Yeah, don't worry. I'll have questions if I can think of any.
Yeah. Like a port cutlass of an ancient castle, a huge door opens in the mountains, and the plane enters. Now, Tim, I'm sure you've obviously read more comics than I have.
Yeah.
Don't you think this is quite a common trope in comics? The old
You mean hidden base?
Huh?
You mean a hidden base, like that one comic book you were reading that one time? Was it the Cape Marvel?
Yep.
Yeah.
That
They all,
seems to be a common trope in comics, doesn't it?
yeah,
And then, of course, Harvey Birdman from Birdman and Galaxy Trio as well.
Yeah.
Another one.
They all seem to be very generic superheroes.
Well, remember, Birdman got his powers from the sun. He had wings and everything, and the ability to shoot solar beams from his hands and create a solar shield. Anyways, and with the plane safe inside, the door closes. This is tremendous, but I think I see the answer. Goes into action and leaps up the mountainside. Soon Shock reaches the top. He discovers the mountain is an extinct volcano. What's this? There are buildings down there? I'll drop down and see what this is all about. And I'll land on the main building. Now, here's something I know. I don't know if Tim, I'm sure you noticed this because I know this is the type of stuff you've been picking up before. So we go from crooked contractors, crooked politicians, or we go from city contracts, crooked politicians, and that all sort to now we have the mastermind revealed, and he's got some base in Rocky Mountains halfway across the country.
Right.
That seems to be kind of an interesting stretch, don't you think?
Yeah, I'd say so.
I mean, okay, so you got basically a building racket going, or attempt to be going, and now it seems like they're dropping hints here, or dropping potential signs here. This is more than just your typical corrupt city official or corrupt government official story. Now it seems like something more is being born out of this. Kind of. No wonder it's 28 pages to have that much of a story there. Anyways.
Yeah. Is this a standard page count for early comics, or is this
No,
abnormal?
28 is more like something that you'd see today, or even as early as maybe the 70s. I'd say the earliest, but mostly the 80s. Because for this, like a lot of books in this time period were anthologies. They were anthologies where you'd have, now in a lot, like for a lot of DC books, yeah, they might have like may have the top two features, the primary feature in the front and the primary backup feature in the back, where they may be like 12 or 13 pages, and then every story in between those is anywhere from like 4 to 6 pages, where you have like you might have 8 features in a book, and you notice in these days, back in these days, comic books were like 64 pages, whereas nowadays they're only like 32, right? 32, 36, somewhere around there. I mean, it started out back in the golden age here. It started out where a lot of comic books were 64 pages. Then it eventually went down to 48 pages, and eventually went down to like I think 32. So, and it also had where you had some points you had anywhere between 8 and 12 features in a particular book. That nowadays you may be lucky to have two at the most. But a lot of books today are feature books where you only have the one story. You get what I mean? Tim, did you get all that?
Yeah, I got all that. I just realized I muted. I said, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and if you haven't had a chance yet, Tim, feel free to share your link to your book. I don't know if you have that yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, feel free to do that at any time.
Gotcha.
All right, so I'll continue on as you're getting ready to do that. So, plunging to the roof, Shock crashes into an amazing scene. He is an unwelcome visitor at the headquarters of Baron von Kampf, a mad genius who plans to conquer America. First,
Baron von Kampf. Gee, does he sound German?
yeah, I don't feel again to your point earlier, kind of dancing around the whole bit with the war, right? First, and then the world by means of a death ray. Death ray, common weapon back then. Common WMD back then.
Yeah, now people use it kind of like a joke about like old movies like Austin Powers.
And by creating inhuman creatures called zombies. Creating zombies? Okay.
Probably like making them like the classic zombie where it's like voodoo instead of the undead.
The political ring was one of his minor tools. The bottom half of his costume, how the shoes and his costume connect right there. You know what that kind of reminds me of?
Looks like a woman's shoes.
Well, that's one thing. Yeah, that was one thing. But what I'm thinking about now is, do you remember the TV show The Greatest American Hero?
Yeah, I remember it a little bit.
Connie Selica and Robert Culp. The way they drew the costume there does seem similar to how that particular comic was done, or that show was done. Anyways, and we continue on. Oh, look at the mad scientist's ears right there.
Yeah, look at that thing he has on his head.
Well, I think doctors have that. Maybe he's a doctor or something like that.
Oh, okay. But you got demon ears.
Yeah. Yeah. So now that I know that he's German, let me see if I can pull off a. Since you have forced yourself upon me,
Now, see, how's that? He forced himself on him. It
Yeah,
sounds like
I
he was
mean,
trying to
the
have his
only
way
reason
with
I
him.
laugh is because how that particular phrasing would go over today, what that would imply today. Of course, we know because we've been reading the story here. We know what he actually means,
No means no, mister.
but but how that particular phrasing would be applied today. That's why I'm laughing. Um, let me introduce myself. I am Baron von Kampf, the next ruler of the world. That's what you think. I know you, Shock Gibson. My spies have told me of your powers, but you will be put out of the way. You will not spoil my plans. All right, so maybe I'm doing more Transylvanian, more Eastern European, but still a different voice nonetheless. um, we'll see about that. To start off with, these death ray machines are dangerous. I'll destroy them. Let loose the zombies. A panel in the wall opens, and hordes of inhuman robot like creatures rush at Shock. Zombies. Deadly zombies.
Those are supposed to be zombies. Oh, okay.
I guess that's what Baron von Kampf is calling them. They look like
Oh, wait.
big
That
furry
wasn't
creatures.
zombies. Those were my Sasquatches. Damn it.
Yeah. You know, I'm
That's like saying,
looking at Baron von, and I just realized something about Baron von Croft right here too. Even though he's German, I'm thinking, I think, I think a lot of SJWs would have an issue with how this guy is drawn
like,
because there seem to be a number of somewhat racial stereotypes implied in the drawing. Well, I'm talking mostly about, of course, the overbite there. He's got a bit of an overbite there. Looks like.
yeah, I kind of don't see it myself.
Yeah, I could see them maybe having a fit about that, but with a signal from von Kampf, the zombies spring at Shock like mad hungry tigers. Look at that. That's got to be something when you have a bunch of like green and olive color creatures coming at you.
Get
That
your
must be
heads off
looking
my
to eat
junk.
you, huh? What was that?
No, I was making a joke.
Oh, oh, look! They even have it labeled Death Ray.
Just
See
in
right
case.
there where the gauge is, right
Yeah,
above the gauge.
death ray.
Death
Like,
Ray.
just in case somebody gets Mr. Coffee confused with a death ray.
That's funny. They actually have to label the weapon like that.
My henchmen are retarded.
What was that?
Oh, I was making a joke.
Yeah, I really don't like that word. That's the only thing.
Okay. My henchmen are stupid. There you go. Sorry.
I prefer people not use that word. I know I can't stop them or anything like that, but I just would prefer people not use that word. To me, it the R word, as it were, is equivalent to like the N word.
Oh,
Okay,
okay. I
all right,
apologize.
no problem. I know you didn't know, so that's why I was telling you.
Okay.
Anyways, getting moving on with the comment here. And for reasons of his own, Shock lets them overpower him. Hmm. Okay, they say for reasons of what do you think is liable? Why do you think he's letting them overpower him?
So you can shock them all.
That's a possibility. Maybe it's all part of a plan to maybe expose something. again, I'm just speculating like you are, but let's see what happens here. I could break these chains, but I think I'll play possum and see what happens. Which was one of the things I was thinking was likely to happen there. Thinking shock, helpless, von Kampf boasts of his plans. Now Gibson, I'll show you how. I'll soon control the world. Do you see this map? On the map, von Kampf showed his plans for destroying civilization. Now you have to remember too, at this point, the United States was 48 states because we hadn't, Hawaii and Alaska hadn't been admitted as states yet. I think they were still territories. So it was 48. It was just what we call the continental United States at the time. So, anyways, let's see. The U.S. be first. I and my zombies will rule by force. I made those zombies from parts of animals and gave them radio control. They obey my every word and thought. Well, there you go. So he created animals.
So that doesn't really make them zombies, does it? I mean, they're calling them zombies, but
they're back from the dead.
Probably.
I mean, you have had situations where you have had zombie animals as well. I mean, if you remember the movie Pet Sematary, right?
Oh, that's true.
A zombie is just simply a dead being that comes back to life. It could be, most of the time when we think of zombies, of course, we think of humans, or but animals can be zombies too. It's just people don't necessarily think about it in that context most of the time. You're mad and a menace to civilization.
Nice comeback.
Civilization, blah. I'll destroy it and install my own plan. Not if I destroy you first. You will never stop me, Gibson. Now I have another surprise for you. Run to the lions. Shock is thrown to the lions, kept by von Kampf for his experiments in making zombies.
Are they zombies too?
Oh, let's see. Well, this will be the end of you. And look, he lands down there. I think he could look. If you look at that panel right there, it looks like he might be cushioning his fall with electricity. See the sparks coming out of him, Tim?
Yeah, I see it. Probably just to show that he hit the ground hard.
Shock jumps to his feet and faces the hungry beast.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, hey, I'm doing a pretty good job, don't you think, with the animal noises?
Yeah, just so over the top.
Well, but that's the fun of comics. You can be over the top. That's what makes it so funny.
Yep.
Anyways. All right. So, anyways, getting back to the. And they did give me for a second 2 viewers again, but then they went back to.
Well, darn them.
The problem is that if people don't like chat too much, then the count will go down if it's like under 10, and that's not always accurate. I know there should be at least 2 or 3 of us in here, but
Yeah.
So, anyways, I'm getting ready to move on to the next. Let's see. With his miraculous strength, Shock snaps the heavy chains and hurls himself at the vicious beast. Yeah, he is a human. Now look at that. Look at the shock coming off of Shock right there. Look at the energy coming off of him right there.
Well, I think that's just like when you ever seen a character punch something and there's that the little thing they draw that shows that he hit it really hard. Like it shows the force of the punch.
No, I mean he would have to exert a lot of force to break those chains like that.
Yeah.
And finally, Shock knocked out 2 of the lions, but still another comes at him. Grrr, grrr, grrr. While high above the pit, Von Kampf shouts orders to his lions. Tear him to bits! Kill him, you beast! With lightning speed, Shock ducks and grabs the lion by the tail as it sails by. I hope this tail doesn't break. Then whirls the beast over his head. Doesn't this remind you of a Merry Melody's Looney Tunes cartoon?
Sorta. Sorta. You might say that, Robert. You might say that.
And with a mighty heave, tosses the lion high into the air. Straight toward the terrified Von Kampf. Help! A dose of your own medicine, Von Kampf. The lion misses and is momentarily stunned. Now's my chance. Now's my chance to get away. Von Kampf runs for his life. Grrr! Save me! As Von Kampf is being chased, Shock leaps out of the pit. Oh, look! Look! What's missing there? Can you tell what's missing? Left panel.
Oh, the shoes are miscolored.
They're either miscolored or they're gone. At least the yellow part is.
Yeah, I think they miscolored them.
And tears after Von Kampf and the lion. Von Kampf, key Shock, and the lion coming over a hidden trap door. And look, we get Death Ray number 10. Look at that or number 20. Look at that labeling right there.
Oh, I guess he has multiple death rays just in case.
Yeah, that's kind of funny. Von Kampf grabs a lever and on the wall and pulls it. The trap door opens and Shock and the lion fall. I'm falling into a volcano! Like, okay.
Well, no shit.
Would you announce that? If you were falling into would you go, I'm falling into a volcano?
That is the most, like, that's like saying, hey, I got shot by a gun. Hey, I got hit by a car.
Yeah. Down they fall into the flaming shaft of the old volcano, which is not entirely extinct. So they thought it was an extinct volcano, but apparently it wasn't, or not entirely, anyways.
Well, at least we know he's falling into a volcano.
But with one hand, Shock catches a projecting ledge as a lion plunges down to his death. Whew. That was close. That was a close call. Shock swings through a steel door set in the side of the volcano shaft. This must lead somewhere. And crashes into a secret room where dwells Jane Starr, once a famous movie actress, a captive of the Mad Baron. Oh, you frightened me. Who are you? I'm Shock Gibson. I've come to put an end to the Baron's mad scheme. Jane explains to Shock how Von Kampf holds her captive and is trying to force her into marriage with him. Shock promises to help, and she tells of an inner control room. Wow, look at how many elements they've thrown into this story.
A lot of them.
Okay, so we went from a building racket, a building contract racket, to a mad scientist in a mountain lair, to now holding a beautiful woman hostage to force her to marry him. All these different elements in this one story. This is kind of an interesting thing for this time period. You didn't have this much going on in these stories, you know.
Yeah,
like
I could see that.
I've learned where he keeps his most deadly weapons. Show me, I'll smash everything. Jane leads Shock to the Baron's machines. Shock smashes them. He'll never rule the world. I'll smash everything to bits. Someday you must tell me where you got your mysterious power. As Shock continues his work of destruction, Jane is snatched away by a zombie. Busy at his labors, Shock does not notice she is gone. Oh boy. All these different elements. Quite interesting. Realizing the game is up, Von Kampf prepares to flee in his plane. You have done well by getting the girl. Hurry, we must get out of here. But before I go, in exactly 10 minutes, the whole mountain will blow up. But as the plane takes off, Shock arrives and starts in pursuit. He's got the girl. I must follow. Meanwhile, in the plane, Soon we shall be safe together. And if you are still unwilling to marry me, well, I have ways to change your mind. I must get one of those parachutes and then. Resolved to escape von Kampf, Jane grabs a parachute and bails out. Furious at Jane's escape, von Kampf's plane dives at her chute and turns his machine gun on it. Riddled with bullets, the chute collapses as Jane plunges toward the earth. Wow! That's now. Grant, I don't know if I would hope, but that's kind of gruesome. Now, Grant, I know comics were not exclusively made for kids back then, but that's quite a gruesome fate to try to present as somebody. Wouldn't you say, Tim?
Sorta. He shot her parachute. It wasn't like he was chopping her into bits. But then again, in the 50s, they did have a kid flip the switch and fry her parents. So, and that was apparently for kids.
Uh, all right, so let's see where this goes from here. But Shock, following the plane, has seen the incident and braces himself to catch the falling girl. Of course, classic, right? classic trope right there. In spite of the terrific speed, Shock catches the girl in his powerful arms. Um, you saved my life. How can I ever thank you? Safe on the ground, Jane and Shock look back at the mountain. You say the mountain is due to blow up now? Yes, and look, the plane circled back. Too far. Von Kampf will be caught in the explosion. The mountain is blown to bits, and amid the flames and smoke, Von Kampf's plane disappears. Boom! That's the end of him. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. I feel we may meet again. Watch for Shock Gibson's next adventure. The end. Let's see, where are we at on time here? Wow, we're already in an hour and a half. Good thing a lot of these other stories in here are like 4 to 6 pages. This one was a long one, but there are a few others that I think might be of some interest as we go through. So I'll probably try to hit up at least a couple of them. Crash, Cork, and Darren. The Aces. Ted Parrish was another one that was mentioned as part of the group of heroes that was so the Man of 1,000 Faces, Ted Parrish, by Bob Stanley. Ted Parrish, young movie idol, bored with the tinsel and lights of Hollywood, fumes at the love story roles he has been assigned, and walks out of the studio. Wow. But Ted, you can't do this to me. I told you before, Cameron. I'm sick of these sissy parts. I want a He-Man's role. Plenty of slam bang until then. Goodbye. Wow. Interesting. Walking along the lower waterfront, his attention is suddenly arrested by the muffled cry of a girl and men's voices. Arrested by the muffled cry. Wow. So we know what arrested means: seized or taken. Hurry up, Joe, before somebody spots us. Where the heck is that? Where the heck is that nurse? We gotta get going. Nurse? Nurse? Well, they'll have one soon enough. Come on, Ted. Come on, Ted to the rescue. A few moments later, a starchly uniformed nurse steps into the cutter. It's about time. Get in. Oh, wow! I didn't know you skipped out there.
Oh, technical issues again, but
Yeah, so Ted Parrott, the reason I started reading this one is because he was one of the heroes mentioned that was a part of the World War II group. If you remember earlier when we were reading that earlier.
oh yeah.
Yeah. So, oops. Go back a page, Mikey. As I can find the cursor, of course. With a roar of the powerful boat heads for with a roar, the powerful boat heads for an island of rock, where a castle is silhouetted in the moonlight. Go right in, Joe. The dock is waiting. Oh, they've come now to carry out my experiment. If my theory is correct, I shall have that girl turned into a gold statue. Oh, the horror. Turning people into statues of gold.
Right.
Good work, brother. A pretty girl like she will look well as a statue. He he. Don't you just love these mad scientist types?
Who knows what he'll do to that statue?
Huh? What was that?
Who knows what he'll do to that statue?
Oh boy.
Are those stands on that statue? No.
Um, Changing to a surgeon's uniform, the mad doctor prepares to carry out his diabolical plan. So I guess that's a machine that's going to turn her into a golden statue right there.
Yes, that whole thing just to turn something into a
Whole
statue.
contraption.
You could just melt gold or whatever or cement on her and then like let it harden and then she's a statue. The end.
Yeah, but then that would end the story, right? And then you'd only have 2 pages of content right there.
It'd be kind of a morbid ending too, like, oh, we won. Oh, jeez, that's a bummer.
Bring in the nurse. I am ready to begin. Are you ready, doctor?
No, I just like standing here. Just like,
Yes, but hold on. You're not my nurse. There, I knew it. Grab him. Not so fast, chum. How's this sleeping powder, my mad friend? In a flash, Ted discards his costume and ducks a vicious blow aimed at him. You'll hurt someone with that club. Hit my brother, will you? Take that. As the thug raises his club to strike again, Ted drives a crushing blow to his stomach. Two down, one to go. Hearing the commotion, the other henchman rushes into the laboratory and aim his pit and all is all and aims. Okay, that's they lettered that a little weirdly. Aims his pistol at Ted's back. Look out! Look out! Look out! As he's spinning about, Ted leaps for the low-hanging operating room lights. Swinging the length of the room, he smashes his feet into the hoodlum's face. Sleep peacefully, maniacs, till the police arrive. Releasing the amazed and frightened girl, Ted lifts her in his arms and dashes through the stone-faced halls. Coming out on the balcony above the boat, Ted leaps with a mighty bound over the balustrade into the craft. Slamming the throttle into full speed, he sends the boat skimming through the water back to the dock as dawn breaks. A hasty taxi ride brings them to the girl's doorstep, where Ted, with a laugh, waves a quick goodbye. Till we meet again. But who are you? Wait, don't run away. Breathlessly, the girl chases Ted beyond the wall that he vaulted. Have you seen a young man come by here? No, ma'am, I haven't. My disguise worked. I wonder who he was. Gosh, he was good looking. An hour later, Ted's producer is at Ted's luxurious home. Ted, I got you the part you want. Plenty of fight and slam bang. Take it away. I've had plenty of excitement today. Get that twist. He complains he's getting too many sissy roles, demands more of an action role, then actually ends up in a real life action movie or action situation, and then decides, no, I've had enough for today. Hey, Tim. He left again, apparently. I guess he's still having technical issues with StreamYard. That is kind of a pooey thing, though. Let's see. Just trying to figure. Well, we may have to finish the show without Tim. I hope that's not necessarily the case. Hope he will come back here. Computer's having problems. If you can't try it. All right, so we're I guess gonna have to. I'm gonna still continue reading, but hopefully he'll come back. But apparently Tim's having issues with StreamYard. His computer's having issues with StreamYard, and that's what's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to do a show when it's just you. So, but we'll press on. Just take care of this. All right. Well, I guess we'll just have to press on then. Hopefully, I'll be back soon enough. Let me see one more time. He gave me a thumbs up, so I think he will try at some point. All right. So, anyways, we're gonna press on here. All right. So, anyways. All right. So let's continue on here. Spike Marlin. Smoke Carter. Yeah, this one's about a firefighter. Andor the Maker. Now, from what I did read a little bit about this particular feature, this guy's an actual. We were talking about last week how Namor. When Rick was here, we were talking about how Namor was presented more like as a villain, all-out villain. From what I read about this story, this guy Landor was a villain. Texas Tyler. So here's something. All right. Well, anyways, Texas Tyler by Harry Walters. No relation to me. All right, so let's see what's going on here because I don't. Well, I was too late. Sorry. If you can't keep trying, but if you can't keep trying. All right. So, anyways, let's get to this story. It'll probably be the last one we'll do because already coming up on the 2-hour mark here. So, still have some other stuff to do. Oops. And I don't necessarily need to. All right. So, Texas Tyler by Harry Walters. Big Nick's law was the law of the gun, and Barek's cowhands fell before his smoking six-shooters until Texas rode into town. Two men suddenly pushed their way into a barroom and, drawing their guns, fire at the startled cowhands. Across the room, a stranger and his pal joined in the unfair gunfight. Bang! No, it's not. I am still going. I will send a link to you here. Oh, there you are.
All right, all right.
I was about to resend the link to you via Messenger, but man,
Yeah.
StreamYard's being screwy, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I also think it's the internet. Yeah, the internet here is not really that great. It's kind of terrible.
Yeah. Well, while you have a chance here, go ahead and why don't you share your link as I'm reading the story here. As I'm that we're doing it's probably the last story we'll do tonight. But it's a Western one, so
Yeah.
so why don't you sit back, relax, and feel free to share your link to your comic.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. All right.
Reach high, all of you. I'll kill the first man that moves, Baldy. Get this hombre off the floor. We're moving. Thanks, pard. I don't know who you are, but you saved our lives. We're the only two cowhands left on the Bar X. My handle's Tex Tyler, and this is Baldy. Big Nick is behind it. He holds a mortgage due next week on the Bar X. If we don't get our herd of cattle in, well, it'll be Big Nick's ranch. I see. And he's killing off the riders so you can't get the cattle in. You've got two new riders. Who's your owner? Pop Alden. There he is at the gate. What happened, Pete? Who are these men? Big Nick shot Al. This is Tex Tyler and Baldy. They saved our lives. Get Al inside the bunkhouse, Martha. Martha will fix him up. Baldy and I want to sign on as riders. I sure need help if you want to face the danger, but my last 6 cowhands have been killed by Big Nick. He owns the sheriff and most everything else. Well, he don't own us or our 6-shooters. Things will be different. Yup. This is my daughter, Martha. Tex and Baldy are gonna ride for us. Pleased to meet you. Chow's ready. Glad to know you, ma'am. Miss. Me too. Me too. Let's eat. Let me see what's happening over here. All right, so I'll highlight the. Oh, again, again, Tim.
No, this time it was my fault. This time it was my fault. I hit the wrong box. Oh, jeez.
Oh, this just isn't your night, is it?
No, it's
So
not.
there's the link, everybody, to Tim's Melvin book. Backstage.
Yep.
Accidentally left. Laugh out loud.
This has been one rough day.
This has been a rough day. All right. So, anyways, let's continue on here. Let's see. Our cattle is being rustled too. I'm sure Big Nick is behind it. Baldy and I are gonna go over the ranch and look things over tonight. There come 4 horsemen. Get your rifle ready, Baldy. That night, overlooking the herd, I should have did the. They're rustlers, all right. Let them have it. Crack, crack. We got 3 of them. The 4th got away. Back at Big Nick's saloon, they got the other 3. We was ambushed. I'll take care of that, Tex Tyler. Alden. We'll have to get the cattle in through the pass in the next couple of days. I want dynamite planted there when they approach. You set it off and start them stampeding. They won't try any rustling for a while. We've got to get the cattle moving tomorrow. The mortgage falls due day after. We'll get him. Be careful. At the Bar X the next day. Let's get going, boys. We've got to get him in tonight. Watch him, Baldy. I'm going ahead. They've started when the cattle get to the pass. They've started when the cattle get to the pass. Set the dynamite off. Tex Tyler, riding ahead, notices the horses and two dynamiters. Dynamiters! Interesting. Those who were dynamite. Uh-oh. Dirty work ahead.
Yep.
Tex Tyler comes riding in with his lariat in hand. Here they come. Get ready. I'll blow 'em to kingdom come. No, you don't. What the... You won't do no more dynamite. Talk up. Who sent you here? Come on, talk up, or you'll never speak again. Don't shoot! It was Big Nick. The herd is safely delivered. I just got notifications on some of your messages. Already read, but you weren't done for the night, or at least I don't think you're done. Because oh. It's doing it again. Sorry, I guess I'm done for the night. All right. All right. So, unfortunately, Tim's not going to be able to finish the show with me tonight. Just too many issues are popping up for him right now. So hopefully we'll, but anyways, we'll get through this story and then finish off the stream. So, oh yeah. So you missed this time, Big Nick. The herd is safely delivered, and your two dynamiters will testify against you. Cornered, Big Nick draws his gun, but Tex Tyler's draw is faster. You've interfered for the last time, Tyler. That's a sucker stunt. He sure had it coming to him, Tyler. Things will be lawful from now on. That night, you were marvelous, Tex. I hope you'll stay with us. I'm sorry, Martha, but we're moving on. Weave the wanderlust. Maybe we'll return someday. Oh, the day of departure. Weave the wanderlust. Maybe we'll return someday. Wanderlust is described as, basically the idea of having that need to feel like you're always on the move. Tex, you've always got a place here. Goodbye. You was kind of sweet on that gal, eh, Tex? Shut up. Tex, Tyler, and Baldy move on to a new adventure. Yeah, typical guy stuff. Yeah, if your partner sits there and tells you, yeah, you were sweet on that girl, weren't you? Yeah, shut up. Like he didn't, he didn't. He doesn't want to be told that. He's a tough guy after all. All right, so let's just breeze through the rest of this then. Airspeed. Oh, so we got another quick little feature here. Airspeed. I know Batgo would have been into this segment if he was still here with us. The Grumman single seat fighter biplane can attain a speed of 240 miles an hour. This plane is used by the U.S. Navy. Let's see. The Douglas bomber. Okay, so the Grumman, I think, was the red one right there. The yellow one here, I believe, is the Douglas bomber monoplane. Is one of the swiftest bombers in use by the U.S. Army. Flies at 225 miles an hour. And then the Curtiss single seat pursuit biplane, a U.S. Army fighting plane, flies at 248 miles an hour, has a 745 horsepower Wright engine. Right? There you go with that. And here's Biff Brannon of the United States Marines. All right. So, anyways, that's all we have for comics tonight, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. We're gonna start to wrap up a bit. We'll of course do this day in each history, and then do our closeouts. All right, so. All right, so I hope everybody enjoyed the stories tonight. I wish people had stuck around because they were, the Shop Gibson story was pretty interesting. I know people got into that. But with that, we'll start to wind down. We're already past the 2 hour mark, so start to wind down by going over this day in each history. Today is Friday, January 20th, 2023. So we'll take a look back at this day in each history. All right. So without any further ado, let's take a look back at this day in each history. All right, first off, we're going to head back to 1999, which is about 24 years ago today. On this date, 24 years ago today, the first issue of Batman Beyond went on sale. On sale on this date back in 1999. It sold for $1.99 with 32 pages. The story was Not on My Watch, written by Hilary J. Bader, penciled by Rick Burchett. Terry Beatty did the inking. Timothy Hawkins did the lettering, and Lee Loughridge did the coloring. So on this date, 24 years ago today, the first issue of Batman Beyond went on sale on this date. So with that, moving on to the next piece of niche history. On this date, 20 years ago today, Monday Night Raw Anyways. So YouTube's doing it to me again too. Right? Just all right. So, anyways, on this date, 20 years ago today, WWE held its Monday Night Raw event from the Dunkin' Donuts Center in Providence, Rhode Island. This was, I believe, the match. This was the Raw right after that year's Royal Rumble. Main event saw Scott Steiner defeat Batista via DQ. In a Singapore cane match, D'Lo Brown with Teddy Long in his corner defeated Tommy Dreamer. Let's see what other key. Let's see. Lance Storm and William Regal defeated the Dudley Boys for the WWE World Tag Team Championships. Hurricane and Trish Stratus defeated Steven Richards and Victoria. Rob Van Dam defeated Jeff Hardy to start off the show. So with that, that's a lot of the main stuff to go over. Apparently, YouTube's lagging a little bit on my end too. All right. Well, anyways, we continue on here. As I said, so the final piece of niche history. On this date, 5 years ago today, the Disney XD animated series, Pickle and Pete, I believe is the name of it, was canceled on this date 5 years ago. So Pickle and Peanut, actually. Pickle and Peanut, the Disney XD series from Walt Disney Animation, was canceled on this date 5 years ago today. So there we go with that one. I thank everybody for being here tonight. So of course, hope to see everybody back here on Sunday when we have our weekend edition. Also, next Friday, Rick Piper will be back here with me as we will as we'll be looking at we'll be continuing our coverage of August of 1939. Looking at comics that went on sale from both from let's see, Centaur publication and David McKay publication. So, well, we'll be back to just reading the comics. Won't have any intros to go over. So, right. So with that, okay. So with that, guys, I thank you for being here, and I hope to see you back here next week on Sunday. Bye.